Namaste and welcome to Daily News Simplified, the what, why and how of newspaper reading. Now we would be analyzing the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper of 3rd of February 2019, and the news that would be covered today is given on the screen, and the timestamp for the same is given in the description and the comment section given below. And so now with this, let us start with the first article. Now we have taken this article from page 13 of section 2 of the Hindu newspaper. Now what this article talks about are the various qualities that are expected that a leader of an organization should have. Now you should see this article from two perspectives. First from the perspective of paper 1, that is essay, and secondly from the perspective of GS paper 4 within the section ethics, integrity and aptitude. Now there are two main questions that this article highlights. First, as to what are the qualities that make a leader, and secondly, what virtues are required to provide for ethical leadership. And what we'll do with regards to this article is understand the answers that have been given by the author to both of these questions. And we'll try to understand those answers which have been given by the author in a format that can be used to answer a question in your UPSC examination. Now the first aspect that the author highlights is why do we need leaders? Now according to the author, groups of individuals cannot take charge of themselves. Whereas individuals were able to take charge of our lives, but when we're in a group, then not every member of that group can simultaneously take charge of the entire group. And therefore, when there is a group of individuals, then one person has to emerge as a leader. And this person can either be asked by the group to lead that group, or by the virtue of his own strength, a person would emerge as a leader of that group. And therefore, according to the author, the reason we require leaders in society is that groups cannot function without leadership. And within that context, the author then differentiates between what is a manager and what is a leader. Whereby, according to the author, a person who merely coordinates the action of others would be considered as a manager. And therefore, according to the author, not everyone who occupies an official position can be called a leader. Whereby, let's say if there is a group of individuals and one person has been selected to lead that group, then it does not mean that this particular person can be called as a leader, whereby this person may have just been selected to merely coordinate the working of this group. And therefore there is a requirement to differentiate as to a person who is a leader and a person who would be considered as a manager, irrespective of the fact that they occupy an official position. So up till here we understand as to what would be the qualities of a manager. And according to the author, there are two qualities that would differentiate a leader who is in an official position than a manager who is also in an official position. Whereby the two qualities which the author has highlighted is first that a leader would be inclusive, and secondly, a leader of a group would be unafraid of rivals. And these are the two main qualities which, according to the author, would differentiate a manager from a leader, irrespective of the fact that both of them are occupying an official position. Now let's say for example there are several IAS officers, and according to the author, if you become an IAS officer and if you have the two qualities of being inclusive and being unafraid of rivals, then you can emerge as a leader, irrespective of the fact that there might be other IAS officers who are also occupying an official position same as yours. So now hopefully up till here you've understood as to why do we require leaders, and how do we differentiate between a manager and a leader who both occupy an official position. Now let us understand as to what the author means by being inclusive and unafraid of rivals. Now within this context, the author has provided various virtues which is required for the person so that he or she may provide ethical leadership. Whereby according to the author, a leader must take responsibility of the interest of each person that is there in the entire group. Whereby according to the author, collective interest of the group must be placed before their own interest. Now an example of this would be the zamindari system, whereby before independence the British government had introduced the zamindari system within India. However, when the first Constituent Assembly of India was formed, there were several individuals who were part of the Constituent Assembly of India who were zamindars. But nevertheless, they supported the abolition of zamindari system, whereby they understood the fact that the zamindari system would have a negative impact with regards to agricultural communities and agricultural production within India. And within that context, these individuals who were still zamindars but supported the abolition of zamindari system within India, placed the collective interest of India over their own self-interest. And it is within that context that the author is saying that the leaders must take responsibility of interest of each person of the entire group, whereby they need to place the collective interest above their own self-interest. The second aspect of this is how do you know what is the collective interest of the group? And within that context, the author is saying that a leader requires the capacity to listen and understand other individuals of the group. And after that, a leader should have a critical ability to identify as to what is the common interest of the group. And after identifying as to what is the common interest of the group and separating his own self interest from that, a good leader would have the intellectual will so as to provide a decision and form a plan so that this common good or this common interest can be achieved. And therefore, according to the author, to understand as to what is the collective interest of the group, you have to listen to every individual within that group and then understand as to what is the common interest among all of them. And after understanding this common interest, a leader should separate his own self interest from that. And after understanding as to what is the common interest, a leader would then provide a roadmap or a plan so as to achieve this common interest. And the next virtue that a good leader requires is that he must be a good communicator, whereby whatever roadmap or plan that has been decided upon by the leader in consultation with other members of his group, then this plan has to be communicated to the whole group, both with sincerity and with conviction. Whereby in a country like India, who may not have the educational capability to understand the various decisions that may have been taken, and therefore it falls upon a good leader who must be a good communicator who could simplify the decisions which have been taken to every member of the group. Now, after this, the author comes to the second part as to what is also required in form of ethical leadership. Now, according to the author, after a decision has been taken, the quality of that decision in form of its effectiveness and efficiencies can only be seen after its implementation. Now, an example of this can be demonetization, whereby demonetization, even though a quality step, its effectiveness and deficiencies was only seen after it had been implemented. Now, according to the author, a good quality of a leader is that when identifying deficiencies of a decision which has been taken, it requires a capacity to listen and understand the various critical feedback which has been given by others. Whereby, let's say, if you have taken a decision, there might be some good aspects to that decision and there might be some negative aspects to that decision. And according to the author, a good quality of a leader is that when identifying deficiencies, a leader would listen to others and understand the various critical feedback that he would receive from others. And for this critical feedback from others, the leader would not only rely upon the people within his own group. Now, a good example of this would be a decision which was taken by Ronald Reagan, who was the President of the United States during the 1980s. Now, what Ronald Reagan had done was that he gave a decision of lowering taxes for the extremely rich within the United States. And he had hoped that by reducing the taxes for the extremely rich, then this would have a trickle down effect, whereby these extremely rich individuals would end up spending more within the economy and investing more within the economy, which would lead to the creation of more jobs and circulation of money. However, what happened was that after 2 years, this trickle down of economy did not happen. And after seeing this, Ronald Reagan again raised the taxes on the extremely rich. And this is an example on how a leader is able to see the deficiencies within his own decision. And by understanding the critical feedback that he has received from others, even those who are outside his group, he has shown intellectual will, which is required to provide a course correction so as to rectify the deficiencies which were there in his earlier decision. And this course correction, which was provided by Ronald Reagan, shows the capacity of intellectual will within a leader. And lastly, according to the author, this course correction, which may have been taken by a leader on his earlier decision, then has to be communicated to other individuals. And this has to be communicated with sincerity and honesty. And therefore, this shows a division in form of ethical leadership before a decision, and after a decision has been taken. And these are the various aspects which the author has provided as being qualities of a good leader. Now, there are two questions for your practice. First, with regards to paper 1, that is essay, whereby the question reads Essential qualities to propel a leader from a manager. Now, this question is not asking you to differentiate between a leader and a manager, but what it is asking is through which qualities can a manager become a leader. And the second question for your practice is with regards to GS paper 4, whereby the question reads Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Now, this is a quote that has been said by Steve Jobs. Now, what do you understand by this statement in context of current bureaucratic setup within India? Now, similar question has already been asked in your UPSC mains examination of 2018, whereby in GS4 they have given a quote which was given by Warren Buffett. And within that context, this is a similar question for your practice for GS4. But hopefully from this article you've understood as to what qualities should be expected from a leader. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 3 of section 2 of the Hindu newspaper. Now what had happened was that the United States has said that it is withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Agreement that was signed between the United States and the Soviet Union in 1987. Now the reason given by the United States to withdraw from the INF treaty was that it said that Russia was currently building a missile that was violating the INF treaty. And with regards to this, in November of 2018, the United States gave 60 days to Russia to either dismantle this missile or the United States is going to withdraw from the INF treaty. Now this 60-day deadline has come to an end, whereby the United States has said that it is going to withdraw from the INF treaty. And in a similar response, Russia has also said that it is going to suspend its participation in the INF treaty. Now we need to understand this article from the perspective of your prelims examination within the section Current Events of International Importance. Now the current event that you need to understand with regards to your prelims examination is that United States and Russia are suspending their participation in the INF treaty or the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty that the United States has with Russia. Now the reason the United States is withdrawing from this treaty is because it has alleged that Russia is developing the SSC-8 missile, and the United States has alleged that this missile can target Europe, and the aspects of this missile violate the INF treaty. However, this allegation has been denied by Russia as it considers the SSC-8 missile within the purview of the INF treaty. Now, one of the main strategic reasons as to why the US is withdrawing from the INF treaty is that it would allow the United States to form intermediate nuclear missiles within the Indo-Pacific area so as to counter China. Now you have to understand that this treaty was signed during the Cold War, and during the Cold War it was the Soviet Union which was the biggest enemy of the United States. However, what is happening now is that China is emerging as one of the biggest opponents of the United States in the Indo-Pacific region. Now this INF treaty was signed between the United States and the Soviet Union. And what is currently happening is that China, which is now the main opponent of the United States, currently has all the opportunity to develop intermediate nuclear force missiles. However, the United States, because of the INF treaty, is not allowed to have intermediate nuclear forces missile. And therefore, to counter China, which has the ability to form these missiles, the United States is withdrawing from the INF treaty. So now hopefully after you've understood the main current event and the international importance of the United States withdrawing from this treaty. Now apart from this, what is important for you to remember with regards to your upcoming prelims examination of 2019 is the international importance of the INF treaty. Now this treaty was signed between the United States and the Soviet Union in 1987, and this treaty banned the development, testing and possession of both short and medium range ground launched nuclear missiles. Now in the INF treaty, the short and medium range means a range of 500 kilometers to 5,000 kilometers, whereby both the United States and currently Russia are banned from developing, testing and possessing ground-based nuclear missiles which have a range between 500 to 5,000 kilometers. Now these are the main facts that you need to remember about the INF treaty with regards to your upcoming prelims examination of 2019 within the section Current Events of International Importance. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 3 from section 2 of the Hindu newspaper. Now if you take a look at this map, Macedonia is a landlocked country within Europe, and it is going to become the 30th member of NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now as some of you might know, that recently there was a news whereby the country of Macedonia is going to change its name to North Macedonia. And the reason the country is going to change its name is because of the pressure from Greece. Now if you take a look at this map again, then if you see the northern regions of Greece, they're also known as Macedonia. Now this whole Macedonia region of Greece plus the country of Macedonia used to be an ancient kingdom, which was a part of the ancient cities of Greece. And according to Greece, the region of Macedonia, which is a part of Greece, is the original Macedonia. And with regards to this, the country of Macedonia should change its name to North Macedonia. And now because of this reason, Greece was blocking the membership of the country of Macedonia to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. However now, because the country of Macedonia has agreed to change its name to North Macedonia, Greece has now agreed to allow the membership of North Macedonia as a member of NATO. Now you have to understand that this news is currently in transition, whereby it has only been announced that Macedonia is going to change its name to North Macedonia, and the official name change has currently yet to happen. However, what is required for you to understand from this news with regards to your upcoming prelims examination of 2019 is about NATO. Now there are 5 main points that you need to know about NATO with regards to your upcoming prelims examination. Now the first point that you need to know is that NATO's main principles are collective defense, crisis management, and cooperative security. And within that context, the principle of collective defense is the most important principle about NATO that you need to know. Whereby under the principle of collective defense, if an attack is conducted against one or several of the NATO members, then it is considered as an attack against all. Whereby let's say, if Greece, which is a member of NATO, is attacked by any country, then it would be considered as an attack against all the 29 members of NATO. And this principle of collective defense with regards to NATO has only been invoked once, whereby the principle of collective defense of NATO was invoked once in response to the 9/11 attacks against the United States, whereby the 9/11 attacks against the United States was considered as an attack against all the 29 members of NATO. The third point that you need to know is that NATO is an alliance of countries from Europe and North America, whereby it provides a link between what is called the Western countries of the two continents. And this is an important fact that you need to know, that countries from Asia, Africa, and other continents cannot become members of NATO. So other American allies such as Japan, South Korea, cannot become members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, whereby even if you take a look at the map, the North American continent is separated by the Atlantic Ocean from Europe. And this is the conceptual understanding as to why it is named the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, whereby it connects the Western countries which lie on the east side of the North Atlantic Ocean, within North America and in Europe. The fourth point that you need to know is that the membership of NATO is open to any other European country which accepts the principles of NATO and is willing to contribute to the security of the North Atlantic area. Now, as you know, North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO was formed during the Cold War. And during the Cold War, the United States and its ally in Europe had formed a defense against the Soviet Union. And with regards to this, the United States and Europe wanted to protect the security of the North Atlantic Ocean, whereby if the Soviet Union was able to gain the control of the North Atlantic Ocean, it can then cut the link between North America and the European countries. And therefore, because of this, any European country which becomes a member of NATO has to contribute to the security of the North Atlantic area. And when we say North Atlantic area, it means the North American continent, North Atlantic Ocean, and Europe. And the fifth and the last point that you need to know about NATO is that when a country applies for membership to NATO, then it has to be agreed by all the 29 members. And this was the reason as to why the membership of Macedonia was being opposed by Greece, whereby this was the reason as to why Macedonia had to change its name to North Macedonia, so that Macedonia can get Greece to agree to its membership of NATO. So now hopefully you've understood as to why NATO was in the news, and apart from that, you've also understood the various facts about NATO from the perspective of your upcoming prelims examination of 2019. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 13 of the section 1 of the Hindu newspaper. Now what this article talks about are various important aspects about Sarnath with regards to Gautam Buddha. Now you need to understand the important aspects about Sarnath and important aspects with regards to the life of Gautam Buddha. First from the perspective of your prelims examination within the section History of India, and also with regards to your mains examination within GS paper 1, within Indian heritage and culture, and within the subsection Indian culture. Now we had already covered the various important places associated with Lord Gautam Buddha in the Daily News Simplified video of 24th of December. And what I'll do is add this section of the video so that we're able to again revise the important places that are associated with Lord Gautam Buddha. Now you need to understand the name of these important places and the reason for their association with Lord Buddha with regards to your upcoming prelims examination of 2019. Wherein the first place that you need to know is that Lumbini in Nepal is considered as the birthplace of Lord Buddha. The second place that you need to know is Kapila Vastu. Now there is a controversy as to whether Kapila Vastu, as mentioned in the Buddhist text, lies in Nepal or in India. However, it has been considered that Kapila Vastu is the place where Lord Buddha spent most of his childhood, and it was in Kapila Vastu that Lord Buddha renounced his worldly life. Now the third place that you need to know is that Bodh Gaya, which is in Bihar, is where Lord Buddha attained enlightenment. The fourth place that you need to know is that Sarnath, which is near Varanasi in UP, is where Lord Buddha preached his first sermon. The fifth place that you need to know is Shravasti in Uttar Pradesh, and this is the place where Lord Buddha spent most of his life. The sixth place that you need to know is Rajgir in Bihar, and it is in this place that Lord Buddha met Bimbasara and his son Ajat Shatru, who belong to the Haryanaka dynasty and are considered to be one of the earliest kings of the Magad Empire. Now Rajgir is also the location of the Vulture Peak, and it is at Vulture Peak that Lord Buddha gave many of his important sermons. Apart from this, the Buddhist caves of Saptapani are located near Rajgir in Bihar, and it is in these Buddhist caves of Saptapani that the first Buddhist council was held under the leadership of Ajat Shatru. The seventh place that you need to know is of Vishali in Bihar, whereby Lord Buddha preached his last sermon. Apart from this, when Lord Buddha renounced worldly life in Kapila Vastu, he began his spiritual training in Vishali in Bihar. And apart from this, he also established the Bhikshuni Sangh and initiated the first woman disciple Gautami in Vishali in Bihar. And the last important place which is associated with Lord Buddha is Kushinagar in UP, whereby Lord Buddha attained Mahaparinirvan in Kushinagar in UP. Now it means that Lord Buddha died in Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh. Now these are the important places that are associated with Lord Buddha that are required for you to remember, especially with regards to your upcoming prelims examination of 2019. And this is because each year, one or two questions, either on Buddhism or Jainism, is asked in the prelims examination. And within that context, important places associated with Lord Buddha also becomes important. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 10 of section 2 of the Hindu newspaper. Now what this article talks about is that microplastics, meaning tiny particles of plastic, have been found in more than 50 marine animals. Now it has been seen that the presence of microplastics within this animal has been quite low. However, what is of concern is that microplastic has been found in every single marine animal that was investigated in this study. However, the effect of this microplastics on the health of these marine animals, on the food chain in marine animals, and with regards to other aspects is not currently known. Now, information on microplastics have been covered several times within Daily News Simplified, whereby in the Daily News Simplified of 15th of December, microplastics were covered by Mangal sir, while in the Daily News Simplified of 18th of November, microplastics were covered by Naved sir. And what I do is provide you link to both of these videos so you can understand about microplastics in a comprehensive manner. And so now with this, let us move on to the next section. Now there are two questions for your practice. Now the question number 1 has been asked in the prelims of 2014. And the question asks, which of the following kingdoms were associated with the life of Gautam Buddha? Wherein the first option is Avanti, second is Gandhara, third is Kosala, and fourth is Magad. While question number 2 is similar to the prelims question of 2014, which had asked which of the following places are associated with the life of Gautam Buddha, wherein the first option is Gandhara, the second option is Vaishali, and the third option is Rajgir. Now what you need to do is pause this video, solve both of these questions and wait for 5 seconds for the correct answer. Now the correct answer to the first question is 3 and 4, meaning that the kingdoms of Kosal and Magad were associated with the life of Gautam Buddha. Now by understanding the important places which are associated with Gautam Buddha, you would have been able to answer this question, whereby Avanti, which is located in today's Madhya Pradesh, does not have any form of cities which are associated with Gautam Buddha. And similarly, Gandhar, which is located in today's Afghanistan, also does not have any important places which are associated with the life of Gautam Buddha. While Kosal, which is located in today's Uttar Pradesh, and Magad, which is located in today's Bihar, you would have been able to eliminate the correct answer. Whereby with regards to question number 2, similarly you would have known that Gandhar, which is in Afghanistan, is not associated with the life of Gautam Buddha. That even though Gandhar is an important Buddhist pilgrimage site, and as we have already understood, Vaishali and Rajgir are associated with the life of Gautam Buddha. And so the correct answer to question number 2 is B, 2 and 3. Now there are 2 more questions for your practice. Now question 3 reads, which of the following statements about INF treaty are correct? The first statement reads, it prohibits development, testing and possession of nuclear capability. The second statement reads, it is applicable only to United States and Russia. Now the question 4 reads, which of the following are members of NATO? The first option is Turkey, the second option is Mexico, and third option is Ukraine. And as you already understand, what you need to do is pause this video, solve both of these questions, and wait for 5 seconds for the correct answer. Now the correct answer to question number 3 is D, neither 1 nor 2. Now the INF treaty prohibits the development, testing and possession of missile capabilities which have a range from 500 to 5000 kilometers. And these missiles include nuclear capable missiles. However, the INF treaty does not prohibit nuclear capability in itself, whereby both United States and Russia are nuclear capable countries. And with regards to statement number 2, this is an important fact that you should understand about INF treaty, that it is not only applicable to United States and Russia, whereby the INF treaty was signed between the United States and Soviet Union in 1987. However, in 1991, the USSR broke up. And from USSR, several countries came to emerge, such as Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and several other countries. And currently there are 5 countries upon whom the INF treaty is currently applicable. The first being the United States, the second being Russia, third being Ukraine, fourth being Kazakhstan, and the fifth being Belarus. Now Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and Belarus were once part of the former Soviet Union. And these 4 countries continue to have the INF treaty applicable to them. However, in most information that you currently see, you only see that United States and Russia are currently withdrawing or suspending the INF treaty. However, you need to keep in mind this fact that the INF treaty was signed between the Soviet Union and the United States, and currently it is applicable to 5 countries. And therefore the correct answer to this is D, neither 1 nor 2. Now with regards to question number 4, Turkey is a member of NATO. Now even though that we have learned that only Western countries of Europe and North America can become members of NATO, now Turkey is considered as a country which lies in both Asia and in Europe, and is currently a member of NATO. However, Mexico and Ukraine are currently not members of NATO, and therefore the correct answer to question number 4 is A, 1 only. And now with this, we come to an end in the analysis of today's newspaper. Now we move on to the question for today.